Alright, guys. Is this all on? Okay, everything connected, high speed. Welcome to the Side Top Podcast. I ran across these videos today talking about Epstein being connected to a person that was made Victoria's Secret and whatnot. And part of the person that made the mall culture starting in like the 80s or 90s or whatever. But I got some videos. We're just going to tie some stuff down. Remember, Just Tai Now is where you just think about it, where you combine your mind, your heart, see what your gut mind is saying, connect all those three circles. Let whatever come out, come on out. So let's see what's going on. And I got a lot of windows I gotta freaking. There we go. But I got it right here because think about all the outfits they made people wear back then. Like preteens, dressing them up in juicy couture and stuff, like words on the butt and skimpy clothes. Like all of that was not just for no reason out of nowhere. Like they was just like, yeah, we just feel like we need to dress like this. Hold on, let's see. No, I got it in my favorites. Somebody brought it up. Give us a start.
As more comes out about Epstein, people online are realizing that they may have been taught their beauty standards by his associates and him. Let me explain. This guy, Les Wexner, is largely responsible for the mall culture that shaped a lot of the early 2000s. He was also closely tied to Epstein. To put it simply, the man who set the standards for beauty and fashion for preteens had a close relationship with the now most infamous trafficker in This wasn't a casual we're at the same party kind of relationship. According to the New York Times, Wexner let Epstein borrow money on his behalf, sign his tax returns, hire people, and make acquisitions for L Brands, which was limited to. It was Victoria's Secret and more. Wexner is obviously not the only powerful businessman linked to Epstein, but this relationship has kind of been earth-shattering for millennial women, which is why people are now making the connection. Think about it. The early 2000s were all about body glitter, sweet scents, skimpy shirts, sweats with text written across the butt, and push-up bras in cute girly colors, all of which were targeted at preteens. It's conditional grooming to push girls into early womanhood without the development. Ads then push this narrative that girls are sexy.
Saying this.
You know
the
tropes, the sleepover pillow fights, girls dancing in their underwear, obsessing over boys, and the diet culture to stay waifishly.
Remember all of that? That was in every movie.
We were trained to think this was all normal. It's so ingrained in how our worldview was shaped in our developmental years, and it promoted unhealthy standards that take years to unlearn. As more comes out about...
Yeah, I'm a millennial. I should know. It was a lot going on back then. Let's see. With the movies pushing the malls, like why did all the movies back then have mall scenes in it? Where they'll go to the mall. Where did you go to hang out with? Go out to have fun. You went to the mall. It was all just laid out right there. Like by a mastermind, because you could have went anywhere in the world. I remember I used to go to the mall, just walk around. I didn't even buy anything all the time. Oh, I can't spell Epstein. There we go.
I know I keep talking about Epstein, but something else that just got to flowing in my mind, and I seen somebody else make a video about this. Is remember in the mall in the early 2000s how like people used to come up to you or your parents trying to like recruit you for modeling agencies and stuff like that? Well, this has also been going all around on Facebook. Basically, that somebody that was mentioned in the Epstein files has ties to the company that takes all of our kids' photos and stuff like that. You mean to tell me that you don't think like Epstein probably had connections to those two like things that were basically that somebody...
What does it say? The company that takes full school photos for millions of children across the U.S. is LifeTouch. LifeTouch is owned by Shutterfly. Shutterfly was acquired by Apollo Global Management. Apollo was co-founded by Leon Black, a billionaire financier whose name has appeared in major news reporting connected to the Epstein files. This isn't about panic, it's about transparency. Yeah, because all them pictures sent and they like, yeah, this is... who you got, who
that
you
was
want.
mentioned in the Epstein
like,
files has ties to the company.
Straight up evil shit.
I know I keep talking about Epstein,
hold on.
but somebody like picking and choosing or picking people, because it's not like they had eyeballs on you like Epstein and his close associates themselves to be like, oh, I want that one. But if there's a whole bunch of people that constantly see new faces, constantly take pictures, all those connections he had, and you mean to tell me you don't think he had those people sending him like photos of kids they thought would fit or that would be good for him? I 100% believe that those people were probably sending him photos of people for him to get, and it wouldn't be hard for him to get their information, figure out where they live with all the connections and stuff that he has. So I 100% believe that they probably were helping him do what he does. I used to live in New York, and this was only like 2 or 3 years ago, even during COVID. People would be walking outside with their shopping bags, and people will come up to them like, hey, like, I can help you carry your bag, stuff like it's not hard to trick people, really. So I 100% believe some of the modeling agencies were
Yeah, she said it right there. It's not hard to trick people, really. Anyway, I don't know why it's going away, but he said, yeah, a lot of pageant and photo children have been involved in these types of situations for decades. Yeah, yeah, they get that promise of money, little fame, or just give the mom something to do. Have them be a part of like a bigger crowd, another tax bracket or something like that. Like crazy stuff. It's like, and then go to the malls and like if you dress a certain way, that's the same way you see all the so-called models dressing. Like they don't dress like that all the time. Some of them do. That's because they was recruited too. Like you don't really see models really dress the way they want to dress. They dress the way that like a whole organization wants them to be dressed up. Like just shout outs to that Tyra Banks documentary coming out. We went over that in the last one. But look, right, because look, they talking about Tyra Banks. Because a lot of her stuff went into the culture too, around this time in the 90s and everything. I don't know. But they coming out with a documentary about this show. Like the girls coming up talking about how it was a lot of unfair stuff going on in there. And these grown women too. So imagine if you was younger and they was like, man, you can't think. Where's the sound?
Yes. Huge.
Putting UPN on the map. I'm very happy and proud of
It's the
that.
most watched show on the network,
Yes.
like by this much.
Yeah.
Much to everyone's surprise, it became the breakout show.
This show became
Oh wait, they got too much music. It's going to copyright me. I'm just gonna
So I
click
have
a
to ask
random
you
one.
guys, do you believe that there is a such thing as good hair?
Absolutely. I have the best hair in Atlanta. I have the white girl flow, and my hair does this.
You have the what?
The white girl flow.
The white girl flow?
Yes.
Okay, explain to me what the white girl flow is.
Everybody's like, oh my God, did you just say that? Yeah, I could do this. And like a lot of black girls just can't do that with their hair, and they honestly just can't.
This is not the show. That's her doing something else. I don't know what these clips talking about. I ain't really want to get into it that much. I did on the last one. You always said people many times don't understand that the movement is different than the organization that is behind it. Yeah, a lot of corruption so that they give a designed culture people will accept the sync with their own. Think about who owns all the products and all the events, etc. Yeah, when you can't even put a name on it because they made up a name. Like Epstein, he won the lottery. Look, Epstein, he won the lottery. Let me make sure I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure he won the lottery, but he put it underneath of his company's name so that he can do it anonymously.
I've been digging through the Epstein files, and this one caught me off guard. Did you know he won $80 million in the lottery? So he cashed in a lottery ticket in New Mexico, and it was claimed by a trust called Zorro Trust belonging to Epstein. And that's how he got his money to buy the Zorro Ranch near the Mexican border. If you didn't know, that's the ranch he was using to run his trafficking ring. I scratched it out because TikTok would probably be in my ass. I've been digging through the Epstein files, and this one caught me off.
So all those people that have said that the lottery's a scam all these years ended up being right. We just found out it's because he won the jackpot shortly after he was jailed in Florida. And you'll see here he has a trust called the Zorro Trust. And that is the trust that he used to claim the jackpot. And this way he was able to stay anonymous because you're able to claim the prize without your first or last name. However, lottery officials know the person that claimed the prize.
They
So
ain't
this
say
means
nothing.
that there are lottery officials out there that
They
are
don't give
in
a
on this
fuck.
Epstein scandal. So they obviously rigged the
They
drawing
down
or the
with it too.
numbers
They
or somehow
scam
printed
people
him a
every day
ticket
with
after
the
the numbers
lottery.
were drawn. It makes me question the lottery today, because if they were able to do this before, they're obviously able to do it again. So who's to say that there's jackpot winners out there the past few years that aren't legit winners? There are cases like this. So
I say, let the system fall. Let the system fall. We'll come up with something else. I didn't know y'all couldn't see that.
all those people that have said that the lottery's a scam all these years
Hopefully
ended
he's
up being
able to
right.
hear it. Yeah, well, they gave him the lottery. They's like, all right, you did your time. You did your time. And now you get some. You get $80 million. There you go. And probably because he put it through a trust fund, he got some of the taxes written off. Because, you know, you got to pay so much money when
We
you
just found out that
this.
Jeffrey...
When you actually win the lottery, you got to give like a fourth of that up at least. Fourth of that's going back to taxes. He found the way around a way and then used that to make more ways. And this all just points to what people have been saying for a long time, that there's a cabal of people around the world that get together and they make plans and do things about the world. And somebody was, I was just talking with somebody and they were trying to blow it away. And I brought up to them my teacher, my animation teacher. She brought up to me that she went to Las Vegas. And when she was there, she was invited to, do graphic design. And they had the graphic design for these pants. And they was saying, yeah, this is going to be the next trend. And she was like, nah, there ain't going to be no trend. These pants, like, kind of ass. She was saying it to herself in her head, but she was still doing her job. And then, like, 3 months later, she saw it on the internet and saw it when she was still living down in L.A. Like, everybody was wearing it and everything. But she remembered that meeting down in Las Vegas 3 months ago, saying that this going to be a trend. It's all set up. Yeah, you said they give people the illusion that the ball is how they choose the lottery. It is chosen by a computer. Entertainers only make it to the 4th floor of the building that they're trying to climb, the 13th. Yeah. And then they took out the 13th floor. You know, they always say in elevators they take out the 13th floor. And on buildings they don't consider 13, they skip the 14. But no, I used to say that. I used to watch that with my grandpa all the time. See the ball juggling around and come down and shoot it out and stuff like that. It's supposed to be random. Man, nobody ever been to the carnival before? The carnival, like, gets you excited. But when people massively agree on stuff like this at one time, people get into kind of psychosis where they literally don't question things that used to be obvious. Like, let's make this as less obvious as possible, and then we can keep interjecting these things that we was talking about that we wanted it to be in the beginning before all of this happened. It's a huge carnival. The same reason people, the same reason people get caught up in the, it's just how it goes. I say caught up in gambling. It was something else I had in here. Oh yeah, I wanted to look into that mall thing a little more. I think I brought it up right here. Billionaire Les Wessner is being deposed in the Epstein files. Already spent years answering, decades. Right here. Prominent Epstein victim Virginia Gaffrey claimed that Wexner was one of the men Epstein trafficked her to. No, don't make me pay. I can't do that right now. Alright, there we go. His name appears 100,000 times in the Epstein files as a loyal friend. But who was the guy? Let's do this. No. What businesses does own? Alright. He is best known for founding L brand, which operates Victoria's Secrets and Bath and Body Works. You always see them in the mall. And that's not even the brand. I thought they was big enough to be on their own. Like they underneath another one. And then that's probably, they both probably under BlackRock. He built a vast portfolio that included the Limited, Express, and Abercrombie and Fitch. He is a major investor with a significant stake in AI company CoreWeave and remains a dominant figure in Ohio real estate and philanthropy. Fuck trying to get it right for him. I know what I'm saying. He stepped down as CEO of L Brand in 2020 after the company spun off Victoria's Secret and rebranded as Bath and Body Works Incorporated. And around when Epstein was going to come out, he's like, I got to get out of here. I'm done with this. So it says it right here. I gotta remember to switch the screen over, my bad. The Epstein files continue to show that the ring is used to shepherd people, and a lot of them still don't understand how it still plays on them with just different faces and new places. Yep, different faces and new cases, because Epstein is just the scapegoat. And they trying to big him up as all powerful. He had all this money. He did this. He did that. Like, man, imagine what they doing. They gave him the opportunity to do that. Like, who else did they give the opportunity to? You know, it's a wise saying. They say never put all your eggs in one basket. Like, everybody's saying, how did he have all this power to do all of these things? Like, who else did they give this power to? And how are they continuing to have this power? A person should ask themselves. Like the normal person. Like, how do they have this power? What am I doing to help them give this power? Even if you feel like you're not doing it in that moment. Just ask the question of the mind. Because if you ain't really performing like that, somebody else out there is. Somebody is. Oh, this, for a quick little switch real quick.
This is the most impressive thing you'll see all day. The guy on the left is Prince Randy, a circus performer from 100 years ago that was born without arms or legs, and the movie Freaks gives him a chance to show off the routine he was most famous for.
No arms, no legs.
I mean, look how dexterous this is. This is so awesome. The craziest thing is that was only like a third of the act. Not only does he light a cigarette and smoke it, he would actually roll his own cigarette. And not only did he roll his own cigarettes, he actually built that entire box that he was working off of. He used a saw, a knife, a hammer, then painted it, then fixed the power of the mind.
Like I'm saying, and all the shit we going through.
I'll build myself a house. Randy was a fascinating dude. Not only was he a brilliant performer, he was a brilliant guy and advocate for disability acceptance. He was born in 1871 in British Guiana to Indian slave parents, and he loved being part of the circus as it allowed him to travel and meet all kinds of people and experience all kinds of things. The pamphlet that he gave out to audiences for his act talked about this. It writes that he, quote, enjoys perfect health, eyesight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste, and has a, quote, comfortable income. Not only could he roll and light and smoke a cigarette, he also, quote, goes through the entire process of shaving himself with an ordinary razor. That, as I understand it, he would sort of wedge in a groove and then kind of run down his cigarette. I can do anything with my mouth.
Now you can do anything with eyebrow?
That pamphlet that he gave out as performances show how he thought about himself, saying that he was perfectly happy with his life and didn't consider himself lesser than anyone else because of his disability, literally including the brilliant line, quote, what one never possesses, one never misses. It's such a cool and advanced sentiment, especially for the time. As a disabled person and person of color and immigrant, he would have been like target number one of the burgeoning eugenics movement. But Randy not only fought back at this by living as full a life as any quote-unquote abled person, he also has one of the coolest moments of the movie, as when the disabled performers hunt down the abusers at the end, Randy literally has a knife in his mouth and joins the fight like he's a commando. And given what was going on in America at the time, for one, it's like the coolest thing ever to see a guy like that joining the fight. But for two, I totally believe he's about to mess Hercules up. It's not funny scary. If you know what he's capable of, it's scary scary. But any right-thinking viewer is on his side.
His death. A couple of years after the film, he was performing on Times Square.
They playing copyrighted music. But shout outs.
This is the most impressive thing you'll see all day. The guy on the left is Prince Randy, and a circus performer.
Shout outs to Prince Randy. Shout outs to Prince Randy. Black History Month. To make sure that's still in there. But I thought that was a cool. I thought he was pretty cool. Just for the human spirit, the human mind was capable of in these times, like I said before. If you just think about things, you'll be able to do it. People think about the environment they're on and the condition that they're in and make the best out of it. Instead of just settling. Like, oh, this is just the way it is. The billionaires are always going to do things like this. Or this is just what I have to accept and dress my kids like this. And take on these behaviors and pass them on even though I feel a second way about them. Like, no, think about things, man. Tie it on down. Hey, you say you never brought the belief that other people tried to tell him that he needed what they had. Yeah, he never did. He used exactly what was around, what was on him, what was on his body, what was in his soul. Instead of saying, hey, we not doing too well because of what they have, or we feel some type of way, we can't be our best versions while y'all going through that stuff over there, so we gotta go help y'all, even if it means bombing y'all or doing something to y'all. It's like, nah, work on yourself first. Or else we'll turn into stuff like
Evening
this.
had its moments. At one point, Democrat Al Green was kicked out of the House chamber. Green held up a sign reading, "Black people aren't apes." That prompted officials to escort the Texas representative from the chamber. Green says the sign was his response to video Trump shared depicting former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as primates.
I wanted him to know that portraying the President Obama and First Lady Obama as members of the primate family is not only unacceptable, it is something that is deplorable and something that we will not tolerate. At least I will not. And I wanted him to get close to someone who could tell him to his face.
Trump, you will recall, received widespread condemnation after his social media account posted and then deleted that image. Evening had its...
Yo, look at all the people. You want to tell me, like, there's so many people on Earth. One of the most psychedelic things I ever recognized is that people going to have their own state of mind. To be so blatant in somebody's face that's just saying, black people are not apes, and they're clapping on his way out. Like, some of them not even looking at him.
Michelle
they just like,
Obama as primates.
I just need to clap and contribute to the energy.
That prompted black people aren't apes. That prompted officials to
the reptiles.
Escort the Texas.
Like, look at her. She looked for a second, then she's like, all right, from the chamber. I can't take this no more. She's not even smiling. She got the most solemn expression on. Like, who claps with a solemn expression? Why is she like? Y'all get why she clapping, right? You just need to fit in. It's a distraction. The lady in the red dress. Y'all saw The Matrix? Seriously. Obama is used as a distraction many times because they're having a lot of problems being connected. Not just at the Epstein files, but internationally.
Mine was his response to video Trump shared.
No, it definitely is all around. It definitely is all around. That's why it's all a play. Even them knowing how to post the video. Because he said his son kind of posts a lot of his Twitter and stuff for him. So he played video games and he been seeing how world antics are and stuff like that. And now he's playing it out in real time. Like, hey, let's put this video out so we can cause some discourse to distract them from the real things that they should be mad about when it comes to presidents and Obamas and lineages and stuff like that. It's like a triple distraction. Because you know people going to get mad, that people going to pay attention to the people that get mad. But yeah, I always said to Obama, what about them drones? I always had that. What about them drones, bro?
Depicting former
president.
Because I'm not Democrat or Republican. I haven't voted I never vote. Yeah. If anything, I voted for Obama because I was living with my uncle. I remember now, and I had to vote. I had to vote when I lived there. I had to vote and I had to go to church, or I would have a place to live. All right, stay at the top. Stay at the top. It was another video. Oh yeah, I was gonna look up Al Green. See if anything else came up about him.
What are the consequences for being kicked out?
Yeah, what happened when he got kicked out?
I haven't. The consequences were of no consequence to me. You have to take a stand. The consequences of no consequence, in the sense that I would allow the consequences to prevent me from doing what I believe is a righteous thing to do. Dr. King did not allow the consequences to prevent him from going to Birmingham, and he went to jail. Rosa Parks did not allow the consequences to prevent her from taking a seat on the bus. That's where we are now. We are back to a point where people have to take a stand. I'm just a person who has done it. There are many others, I believe, who would.
PBS News.
Let's see Obama news. It's probably just going to talk about the aliens.
Classified oversight majority staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do
Is this
with
an
the
old
integrity
video
of our
he listening
democratic
to or a
republic
new one?
and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable
3 days
evidence
ago.
that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this.
It gotta be something else. Fake. The heck? You gonna say he been a? Nah, he got that immunity. Ain't nothing gonna happen. What happened to the sound?
Agents of the federal government. Is deeply concerning and dangerous. But we.
Oh, that's just him talking against ICE in Minnesota. Yeah, Bible. Yeah, of course he. Yeah, I was listening to somebody say, listen to how he answer questions when he by himself compared to how he answers speeches. He's still talking, but it's not like as heroic. It's not like taking away people's breaths and everything like that. I remember back then it wasn't too many interviews. It was like the president on the speech campaigns and doing things like that. It wasn't an everyday thing like how you hear Trump. You didn't hear from him that much. You ain't hear from the presidents every single fucking day. So they got away with a lot. This was something else I ran
Spanish had a
across.
problem because they were Arab. The initial wave of Arabs who invaded Spain were Syrians and Yemenis. So they were Romans and Carthaginians and Germans and Celts and Arabs mixed together. They spoke a language that was maybe 50% Arabic, 50% Latin. They dressed like Arabs, they ate like Arabs, but they believed they were Europeans and they didn't want to be Arabs. So they began to de-Arabize themselves on purpose. Like at one point they actually sat down with a dictionary and tried to pull out the Arabic words. Right? Like it's hilarious because there's still Arabic. The Spanish had a problem because they were Arab. The initial wave of Arabs who invaded Spain were Syrians and Yemen.
History repeats itself over and over and over and over again. Over and over. Let me see if there's somebody else that got some info on this. All them languages are all related for a reason. They all the same people.
The Spanish had a problem because they were Arab. They were the initial wave of Arabs who invaded Spain were Syrians and Yemenis. So they were Romans and Carthaginians.
Oh,
and
this is the same video.
This is absurd. But in the case of the Spanish, Arab. They were the initial wave of Arabs who invaded Spain.
Is this the same?
Spanish descent are also have Arab descent, or their culture comes from the Middle East, North Africa, is the word Gitanos.
Yeah, it's right there.
The word gypsies. Gypsies aren't just from India, and they traveled all the way. About how those that have Spanish descent are also
I was trying to look at
Arab.
the map. See that map right there? Spain right there. Right there.
Descent, or their culture comes from the Middle
Morocco
East,
is right there.
Is the word Gitanos. The word gypsies.
That's what I was saying
Gypsies
about
aren't just from
Florida and
India,
Cuba.
And they traveled all the way through Europe. No. To say you're a Gitano, to say you're a gypsy, is a code word to say that you're...
When the Spanish conquered...
Another fact about how those that
My
have...
bad.
is a code word to say that you're also Ejipico from North Africa. Because North Africa is what, 15 miles away? People swim back and forth. So it's more plausible people have North African blood, Arab blood, than Indian blood. Even though that exists too, and they're all beautiful. Also, before Muslim ruled Spain in 711, before that, it was the Romans, the Visigoths, the Iberians. But the Roman Empire was there, and then it left. Right? The Roman Empire was in Greece. We don't call them...
I know. The Romans and the Greece, what the fuck is the difference with them? All their gods are the same. They just changed up their art style and changed the names. That's it. That's it. And changed the stories a little bit. That's all they did. Somebody saying here, actually, no, gypsy is a slur. They are Romanian. The ones from India. The ones who are from North Africa and Middle East are the Domari. They came in a separate wave of migration and are more rare. Hey, and so they're Asian, black and Asian. And it's like, nah, we Spanish. And then they became so much as wanting to be Spanish that they put it all around the world. Like this Spain country is the same Spain that's in Christopher Columbus and a whole bunch of conquistadors around to have other people around the world even speak Spanish. And it all started from them just saying, man, we not nothing of these surrounding countries, even though we made up of all these surrounding countries. Now we're going to go out and do all of this. Like, look at America. Like, is this just what people do at this level? Or what the human mind been trained for this? Like, this is that saga of the human story? Where a group of people all leave and all the richest people of a country leave and they say, fuck all them poor people. And they all come together and form their own nation, make all their own rules, their own water, their own words and religions, made up by everybody else's religion. Don't forget that part. I'll be made up everybody else's words. And then they say, man, y'all are degenerates. Something wrong with every one of y'all. If y'all mess with us, we're going to blow y'all up. So y'all might as well be an ally with me. Be an ally with me and we won't blow y'all up. And then after years, they just, now that's Spanish. Now y'all speaking Spanish. And then now they fighting over dark skin and light skin. I'm Dominican. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm Mexican. I'm the Aztec. I'm native. Whoa, it's a lot going on. A lot going on. He said the Ottomans were all over Europe. They were Arabs. I'm gonna do this. The Ottoman Empire. Let's do this. Do.
The Ottoman Empire wasn't Arab. It was ruled by Turks, but the majority of the land.
The first comment is he doesn't know what he's talking about. And that was my first thought too. But I'm gonna go to another one. What you had to say?
Europeans have always been ungrateful. They were handed astronomy by the Moors, algebra by the Arabs, medicine by the Persians, and maritime maps by the Chinese. But instead of gratitude, they drew borders. Instead of
Yo, isn't that now too? Like, look what America do. America would, and Elon Musk even promoted it. Get all the highest, with all this accumulation of already getting all different cultures, they want to get more people at the so-called STEM sciences. They want to get them from other countries and get them all to come here so they can build all their AI systems, the infrastructure and everything.
Homage, they built empires. The Ottoman Empire showed them hospitals, libraries, and multi-faith.
And then they gonna turn around and say, "You're an immigrant. Get the fuck out this country. Your visa is over. Get on out of here. Thanks for building my AI, my $1 trillion AI workshop."
Europe responded with crusades and cannon fire. West African kingdoms taught them metallurgy, textile techniques, and governance structures. Europe kidnapped their artisans, stole their gold, and claimed it all as discovery. They learned crop rotation, urban planning, and statecraft from Asia and Africa, then erased the lessons, patented the theft, and taught their children that it all began in Greece, when enslaved Africans...
They still do that. They still do that in school a lot of times. They say all this art and stuff come from Greece. Nah.
Africans cleared the land, grew the food, built the cities, and nursed the colonizers' children. Europe thanked him with chains, whips, and generations of silence. When indigenous nations shared their agriculture, their geography, and pharmacology, Europe repaid them with smallpox and treaties they never intended to honor. Even when Haiti gave the world its first successful slave revolt and independence from European rule, France demanded reparations from their slaves for daring to win. Every time Europeans were given the gift of knowledge, shelter, sustenance, or survival, they responded not with humility, but with conquest. Gratitude was never on the table. Only maps, markets, and museums for the plunder. Because to be grateful would require acknowledging what they were given. And history proves, Europeans would rather rewrite the past than remember who gave them a future. Go.
Oh, he's about to drop the mic. That's an expensive mic, man.
The Ottoman Empire set Western civilization back by centuries. From 800 to 1200 AD, the Muslim Empire was by far the most scientifically advanced, the most developed, and the most literate place in the world. This was also the period of time known as the Arabic Golden Age, and it was in the middle of the 13th century where the Muslim caliphates began.
And all these people saying set Western civilization
invasion,
back,
which conquered most of the known world. By 1258 AD, the Mongols destroyed Baghdad. At that time, the greatest city in the world. The saying is...
So in 1918, the Arabs actually create a state, the rebel Arabs create a state out of the Ottoman Empire that included Western Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Palestine.
That's something later. But it was something this bull said.
Have always governance structures, stole their goka, then eats food, built colonizer whips, indigenous nations, their pharmacology. Europe repaid them with small. Haiti gave the world its first successful slave revolt
come back
and
another
its structures. Europe
It was something that crossed my mind. Beginning of the word is how they replaced a lot of their history. I think about how most of the products in the United States are made in China, but there is propaganda that hate Chinese creation. Yeah, talk about mind control. Mind control. That's why those designer products, them Louis bags and stuff, they still be made in China. But then they don't put the label on it and something else. They don't stitch it together like the last stitch or a couple stitches so that they can ship it to Italy and then they company can just do 5 minutes worth of work and then they say, yeah, it was made in Italy. They really try to do the biggest workaround. But now thanks to YouTube and TikTok, hey, we figured that part out. Growing up, saying that things was made in China, and then say, man, I want that Chinese shit. I want that cheap ass Chinese chink shit. Like, get that shit out of here, bro. But and the thing is, the other way, it didn't even say made in America all the time. That's like lately people been saying I need to say made in America. Before it just didn't say nothing. Probably Indonesia, but that's China too. No, it's not. No, it's not. The people are free. The people, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm. It ain't America making it. And yo, I've been learning. I'm in my art history class, and we're talking about people erasing history and shit like that. And look, Greek history. I mean Greek, Egyptian, because we bridging the gap between Egyptian and Greek history. We just came off like the prehistory. Whoa, I cannot spell when I'm like doing this. All right. Yeah, we started in like the Neolithic past, prehistory, and then we went to the Egyptian, then moving to Greek. I'm like, it's all the same thing. The Greeks just stole the shit out of it. The architecture, the design, the angles. And then if you go to Philly and look at the art museum and different things, it's the same thing again.
Here are the Greek gods and what Egyptian god they are. Part 2. The Egyptian god Osiris had strong associations with Dionysus. Both of them are gods of rebirth. You would think that Osiris is more associated with Hades, but no. In the Ptolemaic age, Dionysus and Osiris were considered one and worshipped together as one. Also, there was a festival that commemorated Mark Antony as Dionysus Osiris and Cleopatra as Isis Aphrodite. Ares' Egyptian equivalent is Anhur or Oniris, who is the Egyptian god of war, just like how Ares is the god of war. And it's said that in a myth where Ares runs away from Typhon, where the gods run away from the monster Typhon to Egypt, Ares takes the form of a fish, and fishes are like represented by Anhur. The Greeks also associated another Egyptian war god, Mantu, with Ares as well, but also Mantu is also associated with Apollo too.
And you gotta know, this is all too because the Greeks was there with the Egyptians. Like, they was there, like, when it started transitioning over, because they was the reason why, with Caesar and stuff like that. And the spy Cleopatra. Like, she was, like, half Greek or something like that. So, a lot was going on politically, and with the sway of human man emotions and power.
The Greek historian Herodotus says that Hephaestus is the equivalent to Ptah, the Egyptian creator god, since Ptah is also a craftsman god. And he even describes a temple of Ptah in Memphis as a temple of Hephaestus. And there's a lot of other Greek to Egyptian equivalent gods here as well. I'll cover this in part 3, so follow for more. Here are the Greek gods.
Yeah, that's how it all works out.
Chat, do they look Egyptian?
They are from the Ptolemaic period, the late
See?
period of Greek and Roman period.
Then found out Greeks
Wait, so they're
once
Greek?
ruled Egypt. Yeah.
Ptolemaic period.
Then why they in Egypt?
Because they ruled in Egypt and they stay in Egypt a lot of time.
So the Greeks ruled in Egypt?
Yes.
Learned all their
And they built the pyramids?
architecture and then stole that shit.
Alexander the Great.
So the Greeks built the
Alexander the
pyramids?
Great.
No.
Alexander the
Egyptian.
Small, he was a midget.
They are in the late period. The pyramid in the first dynasties in the Old Kingdom.
Oh.
We have a lot of time.
So the Greeks
Yes.
came later?
Yes, later. Yes.
Oh.
And they are from the sunken city, by the way.
Whoa. I got it. I understand.
Okay?
Yep, the first comment is Cleopatra was Greek, by the way. Yep. And then they used her influence like they would a first lady. But imagine if the first lady was actually the president. More powerful than the president. They got her right in there. You know, they took you said, yeah, the Greeks took the concepts from the other northern African cultures that lived on both sides of that water. Yo, I gotta remember to tip over. But if y'all didn't see what that was, here it is right here.
Chat, do they look Egyptian?
For those that was watching on the podcast.
Because the Alexander.
So the
Skip
Greeks,
through it.
I got it. I understand.
But those the statues right there.
One of the pharaohs we call pharaoh, but I have to say two things. I've learned two things. Reading the glyphs, there's no such word as pharaoh. It's Perah, number one, which means great house.
Perah.
Before you continue, what's the origin of the words? Where did they get this?
Just like
word
Solomon.
I'm going to tell you. Number two, pharaoh is a Hebrew word that came from the Greek. It is not an Egyptian word. It does not exist. So when we say pharaoh, we're calling it the name of the rulers of the occupiers of Egypt, the Greek, who came later. So it's a later term for the ruler, but it's not the term that the native or the local Egyptian, local Africans used themselves.
All right. Can you speak about the scriptures? I believe it's.
Dang. Yep. But yeah, things just get passed down in culture. That's why when people fight, I just try to say, hey, just look up something and then fight. If you're going to fight. Look up some information and then come back with that. Try to conjure that spirit up again and see what it does. Yeah, I still want to see what it does sometimes. But just be informed about wherever you are. Because people get sent out to war very easy, very young. Or get trained in to do them all. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I want to look up to. The Epstein water. Coming back to the title of the video. Is this it?
In the last 48 hours, we obviously talked all about the Epstein files and the pictures.
The Epstein files? Epstein. I don't know who that is. Oh. Well, I'm not seeing it right now. Oh. Here it is. It's supposed to be on the Daily Mail. Saying declassified files reveal chilling blueprint to manipulate Americans' minds through covert drugging with vaccines. And this is them saying this, not me, YouTube. The report added to the CIA's reading in 2025 details the government wants top secret project Artichoke that ran from 1951 to 1956, focusing on behavior control, interrogation techniques, and psychological manipulation. The 7-page document titled Special Research for Artichoke with an attachment labeled Suggested Fields for Special Research Relative Artichoke outlines proposals to develop chemicals capable of altering human behavior. And you know, our body is a neurochemical factory, so everything you do is affected. That's why you eat food and certain kind of foods you eat. You know how you be feeling on the inside if you watch out there. Yeah, well, Africa is not what they even called it themselves, like a tie back to where we was at before. He said it discusses drugs designed for both immediate effects like truth serums and long-term influences, potentially administered through food, water, alcohol, or cigarettes. Researchers put that spice on there. Like, ooh, what the? That GABA stuff people smoking in New York and stuff. Rolling that GABA. Researchers also suggest that suggests that such substances could be disguised in medical treatments such as vaccines or injections. Who are these researchers? The CIA was looking into methods beyond chemicals, listing hypnosis, sensory deprivation, gases, and other psychological methods for interrogation and behavior control. Artichoke served as a precursor to the CIA's MK Ultra program, which later brought in mind-altering experiments on a larger scale. Oh, so this is a paper revealing before MK Ultra, and a lot of people say MK Ultra was fake, and it came out to be fucking real. Many files were destroyed in the 1970s, leaving the full content of research. How far? So was this revealed in the Epstein files, or is this just being declassified? Yeah, I can pause that and read that. Said the study should include chemicals or drugs that can effectively be concealed in common items such as food, water, Coca-Cola, beer, liquor, cigarettes. This type of drug could also be capable to use in standard. This report added to the. What is this paper? Who's the researcher? The document was declassified in 1983 but has resurfaced on social media where users were shocked to see the CIA discussing methods for drugging entire populations. Oh, y'all was surprised. They wouldn't. Project Artichoke emerged during the early Cold War, a period marked by intense anxiety over communist powers and reports of brainwashing techniques used on American prisoners of war in Korea. You know, they was messing with those American minds, like, you stupid American. I mean, that's not the right accent. It's not coming to me. Y'all get it. Internal CIA memo suggests that U.S. intelligence feared enemy nations had developed ways to control human thought and behavior, prompting the agency to explore its own capabilities. The declassified documents reveal the depth of this research. The researchers involved in the secret program emphasized that long-term compounds should be capable of producing an agitating effect, producing anxiety, nervousness, and tension, or a depressing effect, creating a feeling of dependency, hopelessness, and lethargy. And you see that did like rise up over the years, slowly but surely. You know, I think it always existed in ways, but I think people always had a way to think about it. But now it's like a lot of people act like they don't have a way to think about it. And if your mind is like working off a chemical factory, I'm just tying things down. I'm just thinking out in the air. It wouldn't be too hard to people to give you something so you don't think about things. Like you even dope yourself up sometimes. You ever get in a situation and you had to convince yourself to stay? Like you firing off neurons in your brain and doing some funky stuff. Now they found the way to observe the brain doing that and then have a chemical that would try to reenact the same thing. So they also, they outline practical considerations for concealment such as Coca-Cola, beer, liquor, cigarettes. I want to know, where is this paper? This is some high accusations going on right now. This is what they did with the LSD. I could believe that. Typically without informed consent. They did prisoners, military personnel, and psychiatric patients. They're like, man, nobody's going to believe you. Nobody's going to believe you. You talk about your feelings. You talk about what you hear in your mind. And since it's not correlated to science or your mama, you now in the mental hospital. We could do all these experiments on you. While much of the documentation was destroyed in 1973, That's when Moms was born. Remaining files suggest that the CIA and its collaborators systematically explored the limits of psychological manipulation with ethical considerations frequently subordinated to perceived national security needs. I'm still here. That's some wild stuff. But I still don't know, like, where's this paper at? This is still on the Daily Mail. Where's this release of the paper at? To continue reading, give me $2. They told me they sent me on a whole crazy train. But hey, I'm just tying stuff down as I come across it. Let's see. Let's see what comes up. Let's just do CIA. CIA water. Not waterboarding. Poison. Dang. Got one more thing to try. If you go like this, boom. Just grabbing keywords. But if not, I'm just going to the next thing.
Whoa, this is interesting. So Anna Paulina Luna just posted a response to a Daily Mail post that was centered around the declassification of some...
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. So somebody in the current government position reposted this video. I reposted the... Hopefully they reposted this video. Hey. But they reposted that article I just read from the Daily
files
Mail.
Regarding
Still
the
haven't found
MK
the
Ultra
article,
program. And her response says the next hearing, the task force hearing, should be on the MK Ultra program. Wow. Okay. So you've probably heard MK Ultra, right? And for those of you who don't know exactly what it was about, MK Ultra was a CIA program that ran from the 50s into the early 70s, and it was based around psychological studies, manipulation, interrogation tactics, behavioral manipulation, mind control, heavy duty stuff. And LSD was used in a lot of these experiments. Most of that was non-consensual testing. That rabbit hole runs deep, let me tell you, and I've never actually done a video on MK Ultra. If that's something you'd be interested in, comment it below. Let me know. If I get enough interest, I'll definitely do a video on that. Now, most of the files were destroyed in 1973, but what we know about it came from the Church Committee investigation that happened in 1975. So MK Ultra was a real program, and a quick disclaimer, the LSD and the psychological testing, that's all documented. Everything else is speculation. Okay, anyway, that got me thinking a little bit. So if in fact her comment was just offhand or sarcastic, that's one thing. But if there is truth behind her comment, that would be very interesting. And especially in a time like this when there's so much institutional distrust, right? For good reason. With that being said, that kind of got me thinking, and I have a question. So what would it take for you to regain trust in institutions right now? Things like this, more files, all these things, is that helping gain trust, or is that actually causing the opposite effect? More kind of like, if this is real, what else is there that we don't know about? Let me know your thoughts.
Man,
whoa, this is interesting.
I would say cut it, just shut it all down. Shut it all down, start all over again. People gotta go poor. Let them be poor for a bit. They still gonna have food and somewhere to live. Like, rework all the systems out all over again. Everybody got their luxuries, or everybody got their poorities. Like, just mix it all up. Fuck it. Fuck it. Alright, so except they were doing it in the late 70s as well, and continued doing it with other types of programs that were labeled different. Although it was still part of it, the medications that they put people on through the late 80s and 90s, such as Prozac and other medications like that. Yeah. They don't even gotta hide it. They'll give it to you. And make money off of it in the process through the insurance companies and how the pharmaceutical companies work with them. Now they got Zoloft. I remember hearing the word Prozac. Now they got Zoloft and other drugs. How many lawyers was probably on Prozac and all these other things so they can get through what they had to get through? Let's see about that.
Mind control. Has the government studied mind control? Have they tried to get people to do things using substances and other torture techniques? Well, the Daily Mail posted 2 days ago about Project Artichoke, and it's got people in a tizzy, and your favorite neighborhood conspiracy theorist is here to tell you about it. Spoiler alert, it's not only real, but it was awful. Project Artichoke came to fruition in 1951, and a lot of the reason why they started this project was some Cold War era paranoia. And the study itself wanted to see if participants would complete violent acts through hypnosis, forced addiction / forced withdrawal, and they unknowingly dosed these people to see if they could control their actions. Now, this operation was a precursor to what you may have heard of as MK Ultra, and Project Artichoke mostly focused on interrogation methods and making people do violent acts, whereas MK Ultra sort of focused more on the general, can we get someone to do something for us using these methods? And MK Ultra was terrible in the same way that Project Artichoke was, only they started to use more torture methods like SA, electroshocks, and other forms of torture. But MK Ultra was a little bit different than Project Artichoke, because Project Artichoke mostly focused on substances that were already regularly in the mainstream, you know, amphetamines, hypnotics, hallucinogens. But then MK Ultra started to focus more on developing its own hallucinogens in there. But then MK Ultra, hypnotics.
Let's say a sealed display card from the Columbia University Parkins Research Laboratory showing the drugs listed below. All drugs seems to have been used for the treatment of Parkinson's. Acute. Wait, why do I care about that?
Hallucinogens.
What's that there for?
But then MK Ultra started to focus more on developing its own mind control substance, whether it be intoxicating or not. It actually worked with hospitals.
Because when they tried giving them the LSD, a lot of times they was able to think too much on their own. So they was like, man, I ain't doing what you thought. I'm gonna go climb this tree and enjoy the breeze.
Prisons and other we can't have that. Manufacturers of medicine to see if they could develop an actual mind control drug. And you have heard some of these participants' names before. Most popular being Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. He was confirmed to be in a psychologically intense study in correlation with Harvard and the Navy and CIA that was a part of this program. And while that's confirmed, others like to say that Charles Manson may have been a product of this study. And while it's not confirmed, there are documents out there suggesting that he was a part of these studies. And he used a lot of these interrogation methods and other more horrible, torturous methods with his victims. Not only were a lot of these participants unwilling and were completely undisclosed to the fact that they were being tortured or manipulated for the sake of mind control research, but nobody was safe. There was also an operation called Operation Midnight Climax, where they would use sex workers to make Johns ingest these substances without their knowledge, whether it be via needle or
they give them the drug, and then they'll go and watch them through the hole in the wall. So they getting it on. They like, yeah, we give you some money. You part of the boys now, you part of the bros, man. Here, go have some fun, man. We're gonna dry you up here. See, I'll be back tomorrow. And then they back at the window in 5 minutes.
And they would see if they
two-way
would
window
give
at
up
that.
information about their illegal operations. And all of these
So they ain't had to hide
operations,
and peek up. They
Artichoke,
just was
MK
standing
Ultra,
there
and
like,
Midnight
what?
Climax, span between the
We need to
mid-50s
study.
and 60s. Now, these programs were all exposed in the mid-1970s because people were catching on that patients from the general public and patients even in the military were being experimented on for the sake of mind control. And there were Senate and congressional hearings about it, but a lot of the documents were destroyed as soon as the word hit the public. Many of these patients experienced long-term amnesia, short-term amnesia, psychological effects like PTSD, anxiety.
And a lot of people have amnesia too. I remember when I was younger, before I started doing a lot of my meditations, different things going on. I used to say I can't remember my childhood and certain things, and that definitely affects your motivation, what you believe you can do in the world, how settled you become with how systems are that seem so overbearing, that seem like you just have to be settledly melancholic about it, instead of just melancholic about life in general, instead of just being melancholic just about that one subject. It like carries on to everything. But then when you start remembering a lot of cool things about your life, a lot of cool things that happen and bad things that happen, and then be able to process those bad and good things. So then you know why you actually are where you are now.
Depression, and some of them even died during these experiments.
So
or very
amnesia
shortly
does
after
exist at
because
many different levels.
of what was done to them. Now, overall, the government considered these experiments to be entirely useless because of the psychological effects of
I just said that because people think amnesia happens where you just don't remember nothing, period. Like, I don't remember yesterday. I don't remember 5 minutes ago. I don't remember what I just said, what I just said.
Experienced after. However, I do think it's very interesting in MK Ultra that they were specifically trying to develop a certain medication that they could use for mind control. And, you know, the government. They're not going to give us information of anything successful. Whatever secrets they have that are successful or useful, they're going to keep to themselves. So the question here really isn't whether those projects were successful, but rather, were they successful in their endeavors of developing a medication that could do their bidding? Yes, the study of mind control, that has happened. These projects are not science fiction. Artichoke, MK Ultra, Project Midnight Climax, all real studies that have been done by the CIA in correlation with the Navy. And it obviously draws a lot of questions about power, ethics, and how far the government is willing to go to try and mind control people. My biggest question personally is if Artichoke evolved into MK Ultra evolved into Midnight Climax, what is the evolved form of all of those projects together? And what isn't the CIA telling us? And what will we find out down the line about mind control projects that are happening now? Mind control.
Yeah, I remember
Has the
people all
government
telling me
studied
about
mind control? Have they tried to get people to do things?
One of my
using
friends was going through an episode years ago, like 2014. They were talking about going through.
Did you see that these declassifieds?
They was going through depression, and they wanted to put them on Zoloft and get them on drugs. I was like, that's not going to work. Like, just talk to them. Like, I didn't even know I had the words like how I have now, but I felt it inside. So I was like, you just got to, like, do this. She don't need that. It's like, no, you don't know how the brain works. This is what the doctors are saying. It's a chemical reaction. Her brain needs us to have control. Then, yeah, she was suffering in her existence a lot. Her mom did not raise her well, was not doing well at the same time. They was very poor. They didn't know how to reconcile with things. They just let their mind wander without much security or scheduling with things in order for things to properly be done, so that you're not like repeating the same problems every day type shit. So it was a lot going on. They were just ignoring it, saying, do better, just do good in school. Like, why you not doing good? Why you not doing this or that? So since you're not doing that, here, take some drugs. And that didn't help. She wound up still going to the hospital and having almost committing suicide and stuff like that. And Zoloft just made it worse. All of it. And then years later, to find out that the medications didn't do what they said it was doing. And that depression they found was not just made by a chemical imbalance found in the brain. Like, that whole thing was perpetuated throughout the culture so fast that it reached so many families, even to this day, even though the science literally came out saying the opposite. Look. Depression, imbalance, and brain. I don't know what TikTok gonna bring up, but I can look up some real research.
So this study is going viral again, saying there's no evidence that depression is caused
just
by
so
a
y'all know,
chemical imbalance in the brain.
I clicked on the first one.
So this study is going viral again, saying there's no evidence that depression is caused by a
Wait,
chemical
y'all can't
imbalance.
see. Y'all can't see. I gotta remember stuff like that. There we go. Hey, well, you said the MK Ultra program and other psyops evolved into what became social media algorithms. Woo! Cook with that one, bro. Cook with that. Tied it on down, bro, for real. It became the social, yeah, forever changing, forever amalgamating. Assimilating. Ass humiliating. They get all up in there. Because what you take in, affecting all the neurons and how things are firing on, it's all the same thing. You can eat it, you can take it in, through your sight, you can hear it. Like frequency, it's all a form of frequency. It's all holding a form of vibration. Everything is shaking. Just put it like that. Everything is shaking. So it's going to shake you a certain way when it get close, like a resonance frequency. Hit the tuning fork. If you got 3, when it's not going to shake, but as soon as it get like that, I mean, as soon as it's like it's not going to shake. Wait, shake one hand, but then you get the other one. Shake one hand, and then you get the other one close. If it's 3, it won't do nothing. But then once you get close to one, it's like, oh man, yeah, I vibe with that. Yeah. Antidepressants, they called them. Yeah, psychedelics didn't work you well. They tried all the antidepressants. And look, after that story, this is what happened. This is some new news. This was 2025, 7. So about just almost a year. That was a year ago. A couple months ago.
There's no evidence that depression is caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain. Here's what you need to know. In 2022, this paper came out showing that depression is not caused by low serotonin. This was surprising for many people because we've always heard that depression is caused by a chemical imbalance, low serotonin, and so boosting serotonin with SSRIs can be helpful. But the truth is, depression is not caused by low serotonin. Scientists thought that might have been true in like the 1950s, but ever since we've had a ton of evidence showing that serotonin is just not involved. Then in 2022, this study came along and they didn't actually do any experiments themselves. They simply summarized those 75 years of research and said, hey, wait a minute, serotonin's not the problem. So there are 2 really important things to know here. First, this headline saying there's no evidence that depression is caused by chemical imbalances in the brain is completely wrong and misleading. You can see why they're saying it because that study disproves that traditional idea of low serotonin being a chemical imbalance. But it makes it sound like depression has nothing to do with the brain, and that's just completely wrong. Of course, depression is very much involved with something happening.
You can't just figure it out right away. Like, here, take this and you'll be alright. Take this and this is going to happen. Yeah, the fuck right. When has that ever happened in life?
In the brain, it's just not serotonin. Now, the second thing is that people have used this study to question SSRIs. I mean, if it's not low serotonin, then why are we boosting serotonin to treat it? That might sound like a sensible argument, but the thing is, boosting serotonin can act on other downstream brain systems that influence mood. For instance, SSRIs can increase neuroplasticity, which can help people with depression change their thinking and break out of unhealthy patterns. Which, by the way, is why it's best paired with therapy, so you can make the most of that therapy. And look, I'm not like a super fan of SSRIs, they have their issues, but this whole thing, all this is so frustrating because it's a failure of science communication. Neuroscience as a field should have checked in with the general public sometime in the last 75 years and said, hey, by the way, it might not be that whole low serotonin thing. That's how you create distrust. You leave people out. And look where we are. We need to communicate more openly. And so in that spirit, back in 2022, I wrote a long, detailed article explaining all this about this specific study. So if you're interested in that, it's called The Serotonin Signal, published on Open Mind magazine. So this study is going viral again, saying there's no evidence that depression is caused by a chemical
top corner. I heard about this. Wait, let me see what this is real quick.
Mold exposure can trigger an inflammatory response in the brain. This neuroinflammation may affect
We're not
the
talking about mushrooms, guys. This is
an
mold.
inflammatory response in mold exposure can trigger an inflammatory response in the brain. This neuroinflammation may affect the balance of neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine, which play key roles in regulating mood and emotions. Imbalances in these neurotransmitters have been associated with mood disorders like depression and anxiety. Not everyone exposed to mold will experience mood swings, depression, or anxiety, and the severity of symptoms can vary widely among individuals. Mold spores and other mold particles can trigger allergic reactions in susceptible individuals. Chronic allergies and inflammation are linked to an increased risk of mood disorders. Prolonged exposure to these allergens may contribute to chronic inflammation, which can affect mental health. If mold exposure is affecting your mental health, it's important to consult with a healthcare provider who can assess your specific situation, conduct appropriate tests, and recommend treatment. Mold
Yeah, because that's everything you breathe. And that mold probably just keep growing while it's in your brain. So they said it causes inflammation. But it was something I heard about black mold in apartments and people arguing. And they saying it causes people to argue more. They said if you're a couple and you argue, and check if you got black mold in your house. It's like,
Y'all, I have never
this
been
is
through anything this terrifying in my entire life. Me and my boyfriend were getting sick and we had no idea why. He was dealing with chest pains, migraines that wouldn't stop, and shortness of breath, so he could barely sleep. He kept waking up in the middle of the night saying that he could not breathe. We both literally went 2 weeks straight without sleeping and we didn't know what was going on. I was dealing with extreme fatigue. Like when I tell you I was so nauseous and I didn't even know why I was nauseous, I thought it was something wrong with me. And then eventually I got nosebleeds, and that's from breathing in all that black mold. I kept blaming stress, work, anything until I realized that, y'all, there's something really wrong in this apartment. It got so serious that we were in the hospital night after night. I'm talking about CAT scans, endless tests, so much medication from so.
This guy right here saying he had black mold in his apartment for 3 years and didn't know. And then the other thing saying it caused anxiety and stuff. You know how many cheap ass apartments probably got black mold? Check your walls, bruh. Check your walls. That's kind of green, but let me see. Black mold. Probably was on Instagram where it came up.
My husband went from this to this in under 4 months, and we think it was because we were living in black mold. I've obviously taken the last couple.
This is people like dying.
I just learned something. Black mold can cause a divorce.
Toxic mold exposure can induce personality changes, such that there is literally a term called mold rage.
Right,
and this happens because the damage caused by mold in your brain is like a TBI. It fucks up your connections in your amygdala, and your emotional regulation is out the fucking window. Imagine a new couple that just moved in together. They're on great terms in their relationship as reported by themselves and their friends, but as they're cohabitating together, they're developing mold rage. They're getting this brain damage from the mold, and they start to fucking hate each other. How long do you want to be married to someone you fucking hate? No one's done a study on this, so we don't know. But I would love to find out how many newly divorced couples have some level of mold exposure. It could explain to some degree why couples that move in together eventually separate seemingly out of nowhere. I don't know. We don't know.
Let's see. Mold rage.
Let's talk about mold rage.
episodes of intense rage, mood swings, anxiousness, depression, and irritability are
Oh, yeah, I can't do it because the music.
Mold rage. Everyone is talking about it this week, and I've seen some great takes on it. I've seen some not so great takes on it, so I wanted to jump on and just set the record straight. So when you hear the term mold rage, what it really is referring to is the brain inflammation, sometimes very, very severe brain inflammation that the myotoxins from the mold can cause in your brain. This is why it's super important to get tested for myotoxins and for MARCoNS, which lives in your sinus passages and can cause a huge amount of brain fog, a huge amount of rage from that brain inflammation. So really, when we talk about mold rage,
and man, you ain't mad. Your brain just inflamed. Go to the doctor. Stop being mad all the time. Your brain just inflamed. You got mold rage or something? Like, come on, chill out. Come on, chill on out, bro. Oh, that mold rage shit. Come on, bro. I'll get checked out.
we're talking about brain inflammation, and this term applies to really any chronic condition, any IACI condition, anything like tick-borne illness, like you hear about Lyme rage, Bartonella rage, Babesia rage. You have probably experienced it if you have an IACI condition. Same thing with long COVID. So when you hear the term mold rage, just know that you can work with your doctor to address it through anti-inflammatory diet, supplements, treatments. You don't have to be stuck in that state forever.
I can get people getting this mixed up with mushrooms. So they hear mycology, mytoxins and stuff. Like, just read people those two different words. Mold is not the same as just mushrooms. I'm here to tell you a little truth.
You are not alone. Mold toxicity is common and highly misdiagnosed. So I went ahead and put together a list of mold toxicity symptoms for you guys. The ones I really, really want to stress: super cold water, the chronic fatigue, mass, as well as when you are
He looks like
scientists are continually finding increasing evidence of how exposure to toxic mold can really have an impact on both behavioral and neurological problems, psychoses, including by death. And said this meter changes, my whole attitude changes. Talked a little bit about, but sometimes I think what we forget is these mycotoxins are so potent. They're even used as agents of biological warfare. And so
I was just about to say, we just was talking about the government and we on this, and they say it could be used in biological
if they're
warfare.
Potent enough to be used as that, what are we exposed to all the time?
Scientists, they won't even think that the enemy attacked them. They just think that their own army sucks. Why y'all fucking arguing? What is up with y'all? They were even going to get inside your mind. The neuroplasticity part is the only part they were using. Yeah. Everything else in their brain wasn't working as it was. It shut it down. I've been around people on SSRIs. Grown people too. They say, yeah, shut off all the voices. I don't fully hurt myself or hurt other people. And then get a job. Make some money. Go do something. Get a hobby. You leech off people every day. Of course you got bad thoughts going on in your head. And good flavors. This I want to see this video because this guy, he ordered Michael Jackson to come to his house.
Hello. So
First one got like 10 million likes. I want to see what the fuck going on.
I appreciate you guys coming back out again.
Of course, anytime. I'm the real Michael Jackson. Shut up and dance, bitch.
Oh no, man, I'm gonna get copyrighted. No. I can't play Michael Jackson.
Not bad, kid. But now we're gonna show you how it's really done.
They're all legends! They copying off the Rico, what the fuck is his name?